All right, Schlockmeister fans, we're going to watch a movie called The HELTER SKELTER Murders, otherwise known as The Other Side of Madness. Let's check it out. Madness. All right, film starts out with a little information about what we're about to see, blah, blah, blah. Manson murders, you get the point. Film starts with a couple of people. That's supposed to be the Tex Watson character. Dividing up some drugs. Not a lot of dialogue in this movie, just a lot of visuals. Most of it's black and white. They got their drugs. They got their weapons. And who's the mastermind, all of this, behind all of it? Charlie. We see somebody in prison, and then we see some flashbacks. And some of this stuff was actually filmed at the Spawn Movie Ranch before it burned down. This was allegedly filmed during the trial.
I'm Charlie. Charlie is me. You are Charlie. You are me.
We see some court scenes.
California by this indictment of the crime of murder.
Tell me something
For the
you
purpose
can't
of carrying
kill.
out the objects and
Can't
purposes
show
of
your
the
love for
forces
Charlie
of
intellect.
agreement,
Can't
conspiracy,
kill.
abandonment.
We get some more flashbacks, this time from the witness on the witness stand, talking about a rock festival that they had all attended.
It was a way of life. Please tell us about the women at the ranch.
They were his. Every one of them.
Please speak up.
They all belonged to him. Whenever a new girl came along, she would be passed around.
Then we have a witness who talks about the
that's she.
alleged
Such
Sharon
a lovely,
Tate.
lovely girl.
Or she's supposed to be playing the role of Sharon Tate.
I think the first time I saw her was at a casting agency.
None of the characters in this movie have character names other than
She
Charlie.
was looking for work.
And then the only color sequence in the movie is showing the Sharon Tate character acting in a film.
I said, he had some really far out ideas. Like this Helter Skelter thing. He figured there was eventually going to be a revolution between all the blacks
And
and
that
all the
game
whites.
is just about to come to an end.
He planned to move his family to
Day of judgment is at hand. The warnings have gone unheeded. When this comes to pass, Helter Skelter will be upon us.
Next thing you know, we have a scene where a couple of black guys are shooting up various places. What this has to do with Charles Manson and Helter Skelter, I don't know. They go into some old woman's house and kill her. And apparently take her bird.
I am Charlie.
Now I think the film's really going to get going. They're on their way. See the killers drive along. And they pull up in front of what is supposed to be the Tate house. The Tex Watson character hops over the fence, cuts the phone wires, and lets the other ladies in. As they were coming in, this guy was coming out. This is supposed to be the Stephen Parent character. Who, true to real life, becomes our first victim. The Tex Watson character gets in the house and lets the ladies in. I believe that's supposed to be the Jay Sebring character sleeping on the couch. Take it back, that's the Wojciech Frykowski character.
The devil. I'm here to do the devil's business.
The other three people in the house are rounded up. We have the Sharon Tate character, the Abigail Folger character, and the Jay Sebring character. Again, I say character because none of these people have names in this film. In real life, Jay Sebring was the first person to die, or first person to die in the house, and thus the film follows course.
What are you going to do with us?
You're all gonna die.
The Chick Frykowski character gets attacked by one of the girls and stabbed repeatedly. He actually survived enough to get outside, but he gets shot. And even then, he still was alive. So Tex had to beat him with the brunt of the gun. There's the Abigail Folger character, which leaves us with the Sharon Tate character left.
Please let me have my baby.
The Frykowski character still managed to crawl away, but this was the end of him. The Abigail Folger character also managed to briefly get away. She also made it to the lawn outside, where she ultimately met her demise. And there goes the pregnant Sharon Tate character. In real life, the killers took the victim's blood and wrote the word pig on the door. They drove off and washed themselves in some stranger's yard. The next day we see some headlines in the papers. Our movie ends with the next night on Waverly Drive, which is exactly where the LaBiancas lived.
Don't do it for me, do it for yourself. I just love you completely.
Hey, Katie!
We are a family.
Kill every white mother, every white pig.
Why should I say do or die? It's all up to you. Why should I say laugh or cry? You know what to do. Why should I say anything? Just leave it up to you.
All right, let's talk about the Helter Skelter murders. It's funny, it says here, Charles Manson in. Well, not really. It's an interesting film because there are no character names in this movie. It's just judge, defendant, victim, stuff like that. There's just literally no character names. They do make a reference to Charlie, and that's the only person they make reference to when we see a Charles Manson type character. It's a movie that's about 80 minutes long. The first half of the movie is kind of a little bit of courtroom stuff, a little bit of flashbacks to like a rock festival concert type thing, and a little bit of the leading up to the murders itself. But it was a kind of a mishmash, incoherent stuff going on there. It really started to kick in about 40 minutes into the movie. That's when the actual Tate LaBianca murders start to be portrayed in this movie. And as somebody who has actually learned and studied a lot about the Charles Manson and the whole Manson family and the murders and such, I can tell you that the second half of this film is pretty accurate for the most part as to how the murders took place. They went into the Tate home on the first night, cut the phone wires, broke in. The way the murders were portrayed in here are pretty much the way it happened. They were slung up at one point, shot, stabbed, whatever, and writing pig on the door. It was all very realistic in terms of the way it took place. And then after the murders take place, there's a little hint of the next night where they went to the La Bianca home. We don't see that. Actually, we see them like coming up to the house and then walking in, or walking up to like the doors and stuff. And then we see basically another thing at the end of prologue telling us that drugs might be the biggest problem in the country, and we have to control drugs, otherwise stuff like this is going to happen. I don't think the Manson family murders were really about drugs. It was mostly about Charles Manson, for lack of a better term, hypnotizing them, brainwashing them. I'm sure drugs played a part of it, but it was Manson's doing that influenced all of this stuff that happened. But anyway, that is the Helter Skelter murders. It's all called The Other Side of Midnight. According to the stuff I've read, there's a couple of actual songs by Charles Manson, Mechanical Man and Garbage Dump. I actually have Manson's CD called One, which has those two songs on it. I heard Mechanical Man in the song, but if there was Garbage Dump on here, maybe it was playing in the background somewhere. I didn't hear it, but Mechanical Man definitely is there. There's also a little bit of documentary stuff thrown in there. Some of the stuff was actually filmed at the Spahn Ranch during the trial. This movie was filmed during the trial. So, and there's a prologue at the end about how some of them were found guilty and such. If I'm not mistaken, Tex Watson was, his trial was delayed for quite a while because they took a while to extradite him from Texas, where he was at the time. So he was tried separately from Manson and the three girls. Was it Patricia Krenwinkel, Susan Atkins, and Leslie Van Houten, who, by the way, was recently released in the past year. Leslie Van Houten, of the 5 killers who were convicted for these murders, she's the only one who's out. Steve Grogan, who was known as Clem, also was released. He was actually released about 40 years ago. He was involved in the second night of murders, or at least part of it anyway. I think he and Manson tied up the La Biancas, and then they left, and the killers went in and finished the job. But Steve Grogan had killed somebody else, a guy named Shorty Shea, earlier. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, the Helter Skelter murders, again, the first half of the movie filled with nudity, lots of full frontal nudity from male and female dancing around, this festival stuff. And then the second half of the movie is where the violence kicked in, and it was violent. It was bloody. Again, it was depiction of real events that took place. And like I said, it's very realistic. Most of the movie is black and white. There was a couple color sequences when they talked about the character who was supposed to be Sharon Tate, when they showed how she became an actress and that sort of thing. That stuff was in color. The rest of it was not. I don't know why. But anyway, that's the Helter Skelter murders. This was put out by Image. To my knowledge, this is not on Blu-ray, but maybe it is. I don't know. But it's a pretty decent movie, at least the second half of the movie. The first half, second half makes it worthwhile. Check it out. Leave some comments on what you think about the Helter Skelter murders. Watch it. Bye.